Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, exactly. It's snowing like hell outside. It's been snowing since last night. Episode number 232, Peter. Confidential and top secret Crackerjack ways to acquire more creative real estate deals easily for rookies. Confidential and top secret Crackerjack ways to acquire more creative real estate deals easily for rookies.
And you're going to let us know the confidential stuff, the top secret stuff you're going to tell us?
Yeah.
Really? Do you have to get bonded?
Yeah. Newsflash! You don't need to have the best or most, even biggest resources and financial backing when acquiring, or as Nelson Rockefeller says, controlling real estate. And you can do deals even when competing against more skilled investors or marketing guys, even negotiating pros. All you need to do is devote oneself to the principles found in this remarkable podcast we are about to unleash on you, and you will instead realize how much you should focus on your natural harmony with sellers wherever, whether face-to-face, on the phone, Zoom calls, and any conversation you have with them. These easy-to-learn principles have been used successfully for centuries by some of the world's best persuaders in many industries. And when you hear them, you will soon notice how they fit in any normal conversation and are the furthest thing from sales talk ever. Your seller will never notice these tactics while you are qualifying each to make sure it's best to move forward or not. Then actually have the seller give you offers so you don't need a real estate investor degree to get lots of deals under your belt. That was a mouthful.
It is. But Bill, I believe you.
You do? What
Yeah.
do you believe?
Well, all the things you mentioned that you don't have to have, well, I certainly didn't have any of that when I started. I still don't have a lot now. But, what I do have is my natural charm.
Tell us about it, Peter. Does anybody else talk about your natural charm other than you?
Yes, at the end of phone conversations, they say, "Gee, it was nice talking to you."
Oh.
And
so you're building a fan club on your natural charm.
Bill, that's about all I've got.
Yeah?
No, seriously, I've been talking, listening, and trying to get to the bottom of things. It's even working with the wife.
Oh, no, Peter. You're onto something.
I'm onto something, and I think I got us 5% off on a bank loan we're trying to get just by asking politely.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I believe you, Bill. Take it away.
Good morning, John. So let's do some housework first. So before we get started, if you go into the chat section or the description section of wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching us live, you will notice there's a link there where there's over 25 documents, videos, scripts, checklists, all kinds of goodies that you can get for free. They're all pertaining to pretty houses and creative real estate deals. If you're here to learn how to flip a house with renovations and all that kind of stuff, we do a lot of that stuff. I could definitely give you an education, but this podcast is mostly about pretty houses and creative real estate. So, and how to talk to people and how to find them, right? And qualify them. So just go to that link in your description and you'll get a bunch of free stuff. It gets you in. get you anything that you're looking for to get you started. I said get you like 15 times there. Okay, so have to stop doing that word. Anyways, also every Thursday morning, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, when we're recording this podcast for the platforms, the podcast platforms, we actually do a live stream on Facebook, and as I call on my emails, Flakebook, and it's getting more and more. Also, we do it on YouTube. We live stream on YouTube. I'm not sure after watching the news the last couple days, Peter, how much longer we're going to be live streaming on Flakebook and on YouTube. Google is getting the big government slap like you would never believe. They've done an investigation, or in the middle of an investigation, and finding out what these boys have been doing behind the big old curtains. And it sounds like the Wizard of Oz may get broken up a little bit. The land of Oz is not going to be anymore. So there you go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
They said that they're charging the buyers, they're charging the sellers, and they're charging somebody else in the middle. So it's kind of like they can't do that, and they're starting to use the big M word, monopoly.
Really?
Like,
I don't. Really? I didn't hear that little piece. The money piece. I've heard all the other pieces. Really?
Yeah. No, they're getting the big Senate slap. They're going to be. They got too big for their britches and got too greedy, and I guess they just shouldn't have done any election type of opinions, and they probably would have stayed out of trouble, right? They should have stayed biased.
Yeah, well,
that's what happens.
When you got the gun and your finger on the trigger, you think you can say what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so you can go to Flakebook or Facebook. Just type in Flipping Houses for Rookies. Same thing with YouTube. You can watch us live. When we are live, I have a big screen in front of me, and I can answer any questions or handle any comments you might have. It's a great way for you to kind of get involved with us and ask questions. Other than that, you have to go to flippinghouses4rookies.com. Top right-hand side of the page, there's a support link. I answer all the support tickets myself. Fortunately, I've been able to do that. Some days it's pretty hard with everything I got going on, but I always manage to get the support tickets answered, usually the same day. Often it's within an hour or two, because I check it multiple times a day. So if you have any questions about what we're doing here on the podcast, or you have any questions about real estate, just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com. Top right-hand side is a support ticket. Also, if you scroll down on the page, there's a big link there, or a place where you can put your name and email address next to the pretty girl with the money. That'll get you a free course that's called my Deal Making 101 course. It actually goes over the 7 strategies that we talk about now for 232 podcasts, and you can get that for free. Actually, to be honest with you, Peter, I was doing my meetup last night.
Yep.
And I actually went into that portal, which I haven't been in there in a little while. And I think I was a little insane when I made that free portal, because I give a lot of shit away in there. So I don't know what the hell I was doing. I'm surprised Emma let me do that, my daughter and my assistant. I'm surprised she let me do that.
Well, you're just crazy, Bill. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not wrapped too tight. So anyways.
I'm sorry, I don't hear that idiom very often. Wrapped too tight. Oh, boy.
Okay, so let's get going down to business today, Peter, because we need to talk about confidential and top secret Crackerjack ways to acquire more creative real estate deals easily for rookies.
Go for it.
So first, I'd like to give a big shout out to my buddy that I don't even know, but I email him and I read all his stuff, Mr. Ben Settle. Okay? I have bought, I'm ashamed to say, actually I'm not ashamed to say, I'm proud to say, thousands of dollars worth of books of his recently. Thousands of dollars.
Thousands?
Thousands.
Oh,
Each
God.
one. I just bought one was $986. Hey,
my
Pete.
God.
Pete.
Is that why we're not going out to dinner and smoking cigars lately?
Pete. It's my birthday this week, man. Who's gonna buy me that gift but me? Nobody's going to spend $1,000 on me, not even my wife.
You're right. I bought you something. It was nowhere near that.
Exactly. And you don't even need to do that. I don't want any gifts. I'm self-sufficient. I'm cool, but I appreciate the thought. In any event. Oh, by the way, just so you know, Peter,
Yes, Bill.
because I don't think you exactly follow everything that we do here.
Oh.
I have made it very, very well known on email, on my other Zoom calls, my coaching calls, my deal hunting mastery calls, and last night on the meetup that I bought you an extraordinary Christmas gift. And they're trying to tell me I should tell them what it is. They want a sneak preview. And I'm like, "No, you dirty bastards will go and tell Pete the rookie, and it won't be a surprise. I'm not telling anybody. Only my wife knows." And even then I had to bond her because she got loose lips.
I'll call her later.
So, I just want to say that Ben helps me with my writings. Sometimes I pick up things, I pick up sayings and words, and I want to make sure he gets credit for it because he's been an extraordinary influence on my life. He's been an extraordinary help with my copywriting and how I conduct my business. And I don't know if he's for you, but he's at bensettle.com. The name of his business is Email Players. That's emailplayers.com. Go over there and check them out. If you're into copywriting, if you're into selling online, if you're into, writing books and all that kind of stuff, he is just phenomenal. His materials are awesome. And I want to show, I just want to give a big, big thanks to him. Some of the copy that I've used in this podcast and some of the things I've gotten from him. And I don't want to steal them from him. I want people to know that I did get it from him. So that's my disclaimer from the beginning of the podcast. And here we go. With that said, I would like to qualify who should be listening to this podcast, Peter. And it's a long list. I think it's an A to L list. No, it's an A to N list.
A to N.
A to N. N like in no can do. Okay? So here we go. A, you must, so this is who should listen to this podcast.
All right.
Okay? You must believe your words create your wealth in creative, pretty house, real estate transactions. You must believe. What does believe mean, Peter?
Well, it means that it makes sense to you. It's not that you just believe it because you say so. People won't believe you no matter who the hell you are if they just don't see it themselves in their heart. They got to see it.
Right. So I have my own definition of believe that is not in the dictionary. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't looked, but this is my definition of believe.
Well, I made up mine. Go ahead.
Believe is you feel so passionate about it that it doesn't matter what the barriers are, you're doing it anyways.
That's good.
Right? So you're so passionate about it, it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter when things go wrong. You just have faith it's going to work.
Yeah. Just got to do it.
You must believe your words create your wealth in creative, pretty house, real estate transactions. Now, if you're a flipper and you're just looking for the pretty, the ugliest house in the prettiest neighborhood, as my wife so eloquently tells me her definition of investing like every other week, right?
Still. Bill, you haven't taught her, Bill.
I don't want to.
Don't want to.
Let her stay in the dark. To hell with her. If she doesn't want to go and listen to podcasts and go see my stuff, to hell with her. Let her stay where she is. Why should she come learn how to do this, Peter? She gets to spend the money and reaps all the rewards without doing any of the work.
Well, I'm just hoping maybe she'll help us so we make more money. I'm the optimist here,
Oh. Yeah, why don't you call her up and talk to her about that,
I was just going to tell you, I'll talk to her later. We'll have a conversation.
Yeah. So you'll start off with that. You'll start off with that, and then you'll come through the back door trying to figure out what your Christmas gift is. I know what you're up to.
You saw right through me.
You sneaky little podcaster, you.
Saw right through me.
So we're on the list. What would qualify? So these are core things to me. I wrote this
Yeah.
probably more for me than the listeners, and it may not be a very popular podcast to go listen to. Maybe it will be. But honestly, I think these are more personality traits than they are anything else. Okay? So you must believe your words create wealth and create a real estate. So this is not like we're going to call an agent up and we're going to go put some offers in. You know, they're asking $88,000. I'll give $60,000 and then do that. This is not like this. I'm talking about actually getting out, cold calling somebody, which is not really cold calling because they're advertising a house, especially if you're calling for sale by owners, and they want you to call. So you're going to call a stranger and ask them if they'd be willing to take monthly payments until you can pay them off or a deep discount. And we have scripts to do that. If you go to the link in your description, you can get those scripts for free. Okay? I'm talking about then going through the opening call, which is qualifying them, pre-qualifying them to make sure that they are willing to do one of those two things, either take monthly payments until we pay them off or take a deep discount. That's the opening call. And then the closing call is making the offers and they accept the offers. And then you're going to do a deal meeting, which is where you actually go qualify the house, whether you do that virtually or you do that physically, and you do paperwork. And as we talked about the last 3 episodes, which I think was 229, 230, and 231, how to actually get a creative deal per month. There was 3 of them in the row. You should go listen to those podcasts because there was a lot of data in there. And probably we'll turn that into a book at some time down the road when I get some time to write it. My point is that until you learn how to handle some of those questions and concerns, you really, well, let's put it this way. This is one down further on the list here, but until you're closing every single deal that you're talking to, you need work. Even me. Okay? So
Sure.
Let's move on to B.
Okay, B.
B. You must realize your responses to questions are much more powerful than the question being asked.
Being asked by the seller?
No. You. Who's you?
Yeah, so when we ask a question, they respond, and then what we do then is what you're talking about.
You must realize your responses to questions. Your responses to questions are much more powerful than the questions being asked. In other words, so many people ask me for scripts and for all that kind of stuff because they write down. I got one coaching client that has I don't know, what is it, 7 by 11 or whatever it is, 12 by 11, whatever the biggest piece of paper you can get, or 9 by 17, whatever it is. And he's got it full with all the questions he should ask when he's on the phone. Here's my point. You must realize your responses to the questions. So the questions are not the important part. It's the responses that your seller gives you that is more important.
Sure, you throw something at somebody, they throw it back. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
They're going to have a response, and that's where the conversation is going. That's just starting.
So I think
that makes sense.
I think I want to clarify that because I don't think you have that correct. Because you keep saying once they give you a response, what do you do with it?
Okay, that's
so
right.
let me give you an example. Let's do a little role play, okay?
Right.
So Peter, how much money do you think you're going to end up with once this closing happens? You know, what's the check going to have? What number it's going to have with your name on it?
I think I'm going to get somewhere between 35 and 40,000.
Okay. And what are you going to do with the money when you get it?
Pretty much just hang on to it and maybe just find another way to invest it.
Okay. So it's not the way I asked the questions because I did it in my own language, but I found out you're expecting to get $30,000 or $40,000 and you have no plan for it. So how motivated are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, I think you're a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, I didn't think I was that high. Yeah, there's no like real urgency, like, oh my God, I need to, or I got to, or I have to.
So you must realize your responses to questions are much more powerful than the questions being asked.
Okay.
So what I did is I figured out by asking the right questions, you wanted $30,000 or $40,000 from the proceeds of this house, and you had no place to put it. But at the very end, you said, I have to go reinvest it. So let's continue that role play for a second, just to show you how powerful this is, okay?
Sure.
So Peter, what if I told you I could take that $30,000 or $40,000, keep it in your house, and show you how to be really clever with that investment and get a good rate of return? Would you be interested?
Wait a minute. The money stays in the house, and it's still an investment, and I still make money?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is I'd like to be able to make payments on this house, okay? And I'd like to be able to take all the landlord obligations away from you and just give you checks every month with a good rate of return.
Oh.
So now you don't have to pay capital gains. You don't have to worry about tax ramifications. You could keep all the money in this asset already. Just turn it into a risk-free, landlord-free investment. Would that interest you?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Yeah, we should talk more.
Okay. So see, that was not scripted. You're not going to find that in one of my scripts. It's just because I asked the question and it elicited a response that was worthy of me turning my presentation or slanting my presentation towards what you said. So you must believe your responses to questions are much more powerful than the questions being asked. So too many of my newbies, too many rookies are worried about what questions to ask. If you're in communication with the person and you're actually empathizing with them, you're in their shoes. In other words, if you were sitting at a table and you were in one chair and I was in another chair and the table was between the two of us, that means I mentally get up, walk around the table, and I actually sit in the chair with you and go through this journey together. So I'm going to think like you, like, okay, how much money am I expecting to get, and what am I going to do with it when I'm done, and what would I do if I was in your shoes?
Right.
And so when you realize the responses to your questions are much more important than the questions, you can loosen up a little bit with memorizing all these questions and giving them verbatim. Now, there are some questions that should be done verbatim, which I'm going to go over in a little while, right? But for the most part, you could be a lot looser than what most real estate rookies think they need to be. All I'm trying to point out here in a short story turned long, okay, is the responses are more important. Now, the last thing I want to say on this, Peter, is you and I both know, because I have lots of coaching clients tell me this, in the beginning, when you ask a question, your mind is wondering, or trying to figure out what the next question should be and not listening to the response.
Right.
Okay? So the response is more important than the question. And that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Right.
Okay? So when you ask the question, especially if it's a good question, and you'll get good at this if you practice, like we're saying, like go in houses, be a reluctant buyer, and practice, the answer is more important. If you take the answers and connect the dots between all the answers, you will soon have a roadmap or put the puzzle together on what the person really wants, and it's just a matter of just giving it back to them. Right?
Right. Well, they're trying to do something, aren't they?
Yes.
So could it be said that we're trying to find out what they're trying to do?
Yeah, it's more important than that. It's more important than what they're trying to do. It's why are they trying to do that? Why did they own this house for 8 years and all of a sudden today they want to sell it?
Sure.
What pressure is on them? Mm-hmm. What's aggravating them enough to make them, get off their butts and list it on the MLS or get a realtor or talk to you? Why are they interrupting their day?
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's not like, hey, what do you want to do tomorrow? Hey, you want to sell the house? Sure. It's a big thing. There's something really much to push them. You're right.
Right. All right, so C, we're going to move on. We got that one?
Yep.
Okay, C, you must also agree that qualifying sellers into prospects or suspects is the most valuable skill in the creative real estate arena. And the faster you can do that, the more deals you can make. Almost every phone person, almost every coaching client and or phone person that I've ever trained will tell you the day that they had that phone conversation and spoke to somebody for 20 or 25 minutes or longer, and at the end of that conversation realized that they were a suspect. And they're like, oh, I just wasted 25 minutes.
Yep.
So I have a news flash. This game is a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more you qualify, the more you can make offers, and the more offers you make, the more deals you buy. You can't buy a house without an offer. You can't get married without a proposal. Okay, so you got to make those proposals. Otherwise, you're not in business. You have a hobby, and your hobby is learning real estate investing. Because you're online, you're watching videos, you're going to seminars, which fortunately, and I say this very loudly, fortunately for most of our listeners, COVID came and stopped them from going to seminars and big hotels, spending thousands of dollars this year to get their ego stroked and go back and give them a bunch of things they can do on their computer screen that don't involve talking to sellers and getting offers made. Right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. All right? But you have to understand that the first most talented skill you must acquire is not deal structuring. It's not having the magical words or some one-line sentences that close somebody. What it really is just having true affinity, true liking for someone, and really want to help them and be able to offer that to that person. But you have to be selective on who you want to help, and that's where the pre-qualifying process comes in. You have to decide, do they want your help or don't they? Are they willing to listen to your plan or aren't they? Most sellers have a plan. Most sellers have a plan. It's an imaginary plan most often. Most often it's a plan that only benefits them, doesn't involve anybody else. Like, for example, it's a $200,000 house and they're asking $230,000. They never even gave it a thought of where somebody's going to get the money from. They just want $230,000 because it's best for them. They never thought of the seller.
Yep.
I'm sorry, they never thought of the buyer. The seller never thought of the buyer.
Yep.
Right? So where you at? Right? So most people don't do that. So you have to understand that knowing how to put these people in buckets, they're a suspect, they're a prospect. Now, here's the most alarming news about prospects and suspects. Suspects are not a no. They're not a waste of your time. They are not a problem. They are not an obstacle to your career. What you need to do with suspects is put them in a follow-up system. The more automated you can do that, the better off you could be, because some of those suspects, with time or during time, will turn into prospects. Like the famous story I talk about at the meetup all the time is the time I was in some guy's house in Meriden, Connecticut, and he was like laughing at me that I would even propose these offers to him, which was just, rent to own type of thing. And back then, what happened, and we still do it now, if the house is free and clear, we did not pre-qualify at all. We just went to the house because it was just a matter of, us talking and them talking and come up with agreements. And I still do that to this day to some point, right? If it's free and clear, I just go talk to them. So it's probably, if I remember right, it was probably one of those deals. Anyways, long story short, he pretty much, mentally kicked me out of his house. In other words, he wasn't having it at all. He was like, he practically laughed at me, okay? Which was a good lesson for me, okay? Because now I was able to make some adjustments and learn from it. I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks later, I'm at my gas station because my real estate office was in my gas station, and I'm there working, and my phone is blowing up. It's like on a Friday or a Monday, or I don't remember what day it was. my phone is blowing up. And it's this dude that I had forgotten about. And he came home, I guess it was Friday night. It must have been Saturday. He came home Friday night, and he found his wife in bed with his best friend. So now all of a sudden, my proposals were not stupid. He was like, I'm out of here. That, bitch, he was calling her, is done. So he wanted to sell the house. He wanted out. He was pissed. Time changes everything. That's an extreme case, but it's a good example of how time changes everything.
Mm-hmm. And you'll never see that coming. And you think, never mind, this guy, the way he's thinking, never would do it. But something like that totally changes his view. Everything goes, nope, opposite.
Correct. The reason why I bring this story up is this is the part of the story I haven't told, because this was some years ago. It was early in my career. I mean, I don't know, 10, 12, 15. I don't remember how many years ago. It was a long time ago. It woke me up like loudly. I didn't buy the house because the guy was just a lunatic. It woke me up to how important follow-up was, because if he was calling me and that happened to him, how many people did I talk to? Because I was doing 12 or 15 appointments a week back then. How many people am I talking to that this happened, that they didn't call me, couldn't find my number, or didn't remember me?
Yeah, that guy, he had a yellow card, right? Yeah, the guy. Which one? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? So what ended up happening was we, meaning me and my team at the time, started figuring out. Now, you have to realize back then, it's not like it is now. Now it's simple Simon. Right? I mean, I'll just let a cat out of the bag here. I use for my coaching stuff, I use a company called Pipeline Pro, right? Pipeline Pro. Dwayne is saying contracts, let's get to the meat, Bill, so let's go. I don't know why he's talking about contracts. We're not going to talk about contracts today. So maybe, Dwayne, you're not in the right place or something. Maybe you should go somewhere else, because I'm not going to talk about contracts today. So I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? I don't know what he's talking about. Cut the phone off, Bill. You just got in on the rookie Pete for that. I'm not sure what he's saying. Anyways, so here's the point, which I lost my train of thought. So we're just going to move on. What was I talking about?
You're talking about Pipeline. You use Pipeline.
Pipeline Pro is a great follow-up system. It's a derivative of Highline, but Pipeline Pro is a great follow-up system, really easy to use. I think it costs $37 to buy it for a lifetime. You'll pay more for the marketing aspect of it, but it's a great way to keep track of your follow-ups, keep track of your leads. It's a great CRM. It has it's got voicemail drops. It's got all kinds of stuff in there. It's got texting. It does all of it, and it's really cheap. And it's a great way to follow up on these leads. Okay. All right. So D, right behind that, which is what we were just talking about, which is C, you must also agree that qualifying sellers into prospects or suspects is the most vital skill in the creative real estate arena. Right behind that, which is D, is getting true motivation quickly is the glue that keeps every deal together. So if for some reason, Peter, you are having a problem with, you're getting divorced like this guy we were talking about, and you need to get rid of the house and you want to get rid of the ex or soon to be ex.
Yep.
If the deal days later, weeks later, months later goes sideways, all you got to do is just bring up, well, what about the divorce? What are you going to do next? See, one of the most important skills that I have used, okay, is, let's role play it. So tell me how this feels to you when I ask this question. So Peter, if you don't sell me the house today, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I can't stay here. I can't stay. I'm not staying in the house with her. I got to go rent someplace. I got to go move to a motel. I don't want to do that. Waste my money. I don't want to do that.
So what we just did is we went back to B, which is you must realize your responses to questions are much more powerful than the answers. So what I did is I asked him, if I don't buy the house, what's going to happen? So first of all, I withdrew from the deal. I stopped being needy or making him think I'm on the hook, right?
Yeah.
Second of all, I tested him to make sure he has plan B, because ironically enough, one of the biggest qualifiers for a suspect is they think they have a plan. And your plan B. They're just calling you to test you to see if your program is more beneficial than the one they've already gotten.
Or they think they think they have.
Right. So you don't have much time to turn them around when you're talking to them, right? So you have to first qualify. So they think they're the prominent force in the conversation. They think that they have the upper hand, when really you have the upper hand, because you're the creative real estate investor and you're the one that's going to help them with whatever they're trying to get. And they don't even know that, right? So they're not aware of your abilities. So when you're in this conversation, you have to realize that they think they're in control. They think they hold all the cards and the chips. And they think you're begging to buy their house.
Yeah, little do they know.
Exactly. So you have to grant enough politeness and, let them be who they are, and just know you got to talk through all that chatter before you get to the person that's really in trouble or really has a problem or really needs something. It doesn't even have to be a problem. They just need something. They need the 30 grand to make them feel better. Right? You have to walk through all that chatter in their head. And the only way you could do that is to be passionate and empathetic and actually go through the process with them. Otherwise, you may not win. And some people have a big brick wall. They got a brick overcoat on and they don't want to let you in. And they fall into the suspect category. But if you do as I'm telling you and you dump them into the suspect follow-up system, sooner or later time may change. They may wake up one day and they may be aggravated because something happened and they're like, that's it, the straw that broke the camel's back. Right? And then all of a sudden they're going to be listening to what you're saying because the words you're using are going to start to harmonize with them and say, yeah, maybe I should talk to this guy or gal.
Yeah, they're going to start to listen a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah. All right, letter E, you also being empathetic, putting yourself in the seller's shoes and walking alongside of the sellers through their journey to sell is way more important than a slick closing statement. What are you laughing for?
No, it's just so true. But who can stand somebody on the phone? Hi, I saw your ad, and I think I can help you with, and like, hey, I see you have a house for sale. Like, look, I'm really good at this. I can really help you, man. I'm just the best. Shut up. I mean,
Right.
who can stand that?
Right.
Ouch.
So if the seller believes you care about them, you get a deal. So in my mind, here's the picture that I have, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you're like in a city, I don't know, one of the cities like Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, or the Twin Cities, where there's a river, a big river in the middle of the city that divides the city.
Chicago,
okay? So here's what happens. You're on this side of the riverbank, and what you want, your customer's on the other side of the riverbank. And you need to get to your customer to be able to make a deal. Okay? So what most people do, most marketers, is they build a bridge from where they're standing to where the customer is. So they can get to the customer.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you to do is not follow that philosophy, but instead get your customer to build a bridge from them to you. So they come to you, you don't go to them. Okay, and the way you do that, okay, and I give an example. This is a bend settle thing, which I think it's one of the other points. Suppose you have a dog, right? And the dog doesn't listen to you. Like you have a dog, Peter. Does
Yes.
your dog come to you when you say, "Come here, Karma"?
Nope. She's
Doesn't
here.
listen.
She's here today because of the snow. Oh boy, it's quiet so far. She stares at me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll bet you a $20 cigar that I can make that dog come to me anytime I want.
Oh, I know how to do it too, but it's called a treat.
There you go. So if you put up the dog's favorite treat, then you don't have to convince the dog to come to you, right?
Nope. It's called bribing.
Right?
Legal bribery.
That's how it should be with your customers, with your sellers.
But you have to know what they really want, though, Bill. Mm-hmm. How do we know?
You ask questions, and you're looking for you. So basically, the nutshell is ask the right questions, or ask any question that's going to figure out what's their favorite treat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're too thinking about too much, like how much money we want to make and how many houses we want to buy.
And that's the reason why you're a rookie and not doing enough deals. Because what we're talking about now is the real. I mean, I don't know. I call them secrets because I don't have any other words. But who talks about this? What other guru talks about this kind of stuff? It's way too profound. Nobody. I mean, it doesn't create audiences. God bless the people that are here listening, because these are the things that are going to make deals. And believe me, it's not the masses that are here listening to this recording right now. This is not going to be a popular podcast, but the people that listen to it will make changes and do deals.
Our broker called last night, and she has a friend that wants to know about subject 2 and other stuff. So I gave her the data, to tell her friend how to find it. And I told you just a few things like, you're kidding me. How much you guys would do what? Why aren't you guys like busier? Because we're not like the other places that every week selling $1,000 product and a $500 product and a $1,200 product to make money. It isn't that way here. So it's not sexy and flashy.
The real answer, Peter, is priority. My priority is my real estate deals first, and then I teach as a hobby. A lot of gurus are the other way around. Their teaching is their first foot, and their deals are second.
Right, but I'm still making this point, though. Like you said, this might not be very popular today, and we've tracked it. Like some of the podcasts that you give the data that really buys houses,
right,
people don't listen a lot.
Right.
And that's why things go wrong in this world. You don't realize what's really important.
Right.
Well,
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't realize the importance of what you don't know. So.
Yeah.
But
all right,
it works.
So let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So F, deals are built and done in belief and confidence. So it's kind of like a cocoon. When you're in there, you feel safe and you believe that you're gonna turn into a butterfly, and you're safe and you're nice and sheltered and you feel good, right? Psychological research has established that expectations profoundly influence outcomes. I'll read that again because that's a powerful statement, Peter. Deals are built and done in belief and confidence. Psychological research has established that expectations profoundly influence outcomes.
I think I know what you mean. Are you going to give us some examples too?
So having confidence, I'll give you a classic example. How do I know you're going to make my payments? They have to have confidence in you that you're going to make their payments.
Yeah, that part makes sense. I'm thinking that the last part of what you said, I haven't heard you talk maybe much about that. Like expectations, whatever you said, help get you to the outcomes.
So psychological research has established that expectations Profoundly. What does profoundly mean?
A lot.
Deeply,
Yeah.
right? Deeply influence outcomes.
That part.
So setting the seller's expectations so that they feel confident about them is huge.
Yeah.
So think of this. If your rookie is in a house talking to somebody and they don't have confidence in themselves that they could pull off this deal, how are they going to portray that and have the seller have good expectations that this deal is going to fly?
Yeah, it's not going to work that well. This reminds me of when you talk about painting a picture for somebody,
Yep.
right? So you give it expectations like this will happen, you'll make this much money, it'll be easy, you get to move on. The guy's seeing all this and he's going, oh yeah, that's what I really want. So that'll help propel it to actually happen, right?
Right.
Because you're painting that picture so he can see it. And it's not a dollar sign. It's you can move in 2 weeks, the payments will come in, you'll have extra money, whatever. You don't have
We'll
to
clean
the
worry. House out.
Yeah.
We'll clean the house out. You just take what you want because they're overwhelmed with their mom's stuff for 45 years in the house.
Yep.
Right?
They don't want
Right,
to look
good.
at it. You won't have to look at the blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Because it makes you upset to look at your poor mom's stuff.
So basically, in a weird sentence, basically you're going to confront what they don't want to confront.
Oh, that's good.
Right? And you're going to handle it for them because they're having trouble confronting it. They're having trouble looking at it. They're having trouble facing it. They're having trouble controlling it because they can't look at it and say, there's my problem. I need to go attack it. Instead, they're running the other way. That's lack of confront, running the other way. They can't confront it, that they're overwhelmed or they're this or they're that. They have too much emotional attachment that's keeping them from facing this whatever and allowing them to handle it.
And that's what they're very willing to pay someone else to do.
Right.
Or whether it's like, I can change a tire. I used to be able to change alternators. Don't do that anymore. Batteries. After that, I'm done. Mechanic.
Right.
Forget brakes. Forget that. No. So they can't sell their house. They get a realtor. If that's the right way, if it's the wrong way, it's us.
Right.
And then, but they don't know about us and our methods that much. So we have to explain it to them, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's move on to G. You must also know when offers are similar. It is the uniqueness that cared about the seller that makes the difference on who gets the property. So if you're making an offer and somebody else is making the offer and they're close, and the seller has to make a decision different than the number, right?
Yep.
I remember when I was in sales a long time ago, somebody taught me that when a seller, or when a prospect, let's just talk about a prospect, when a prospect doesn't know enough about the product or what they're buying, they resort to price. So they negotiate price because they don't know what else to negotiate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? Good morning, Desiree. Where I was wondering where you were. So what happens is they resort to negotiating the price, not the other things. Like, for example, if you're buying a computer, negotiating the hard disk space or the RAM or the keyboard or something like this, right? They don't know they can negotiate all that because they may not even be aware that stuff is there. And number two, they just don't know.
Bill,
right?
my sons help me buy a laptop when I need something, right? And they go, the ram ding dong, all this stuff. And I go,
Yeah.
wait a minute. How much?
Yeah.
Right?
See?
How much?
See?
Yeah.
So you want to have enough faith that you know that it's going to do what you want it to do, and you want to know how much it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. Right? So what happens is when you have two offers that are similar, you and somebody else, what I'm saying is your uniqueness of helping them and caring about them and walking over this bridge like we were talking about and like arm in arm, Like, don't worry, I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna take care of you, kind of like you would do for your brother or your sister or your kid or your parents, right? You're gonna help them. You're gonna protect them, and they're gonna help you and protect you, and you have a bond. And when you have that, then the other price won't matter. You'll win.
Yeah.
Because they have faith and confidence in you that you could do this deal. By the way, this takes no education at all. It's just being a real person. It's just being sincere. I mean, it's really, if you think about it, Peter, and I hope this doesn't hurt me later, but it's really a religious thing. Do unto others as they would do unto you. I mean, it's a religious thing. It's like, how do you treat people? You know, I mean, I only can speak from the Christian faith, but how is a Christian person supposed to be?
Sure.
You know, so go be, and I'm not saying if you're not Christian, don't, you know.
No,
but go be Christian. Go be a person. Be ethical. Be sincere. Care about the other person. Don't just care about yourself.
Yeah, no, you'll find that.
It's amazing.
You'll find that. I've read books about all religions. I've read one book about all of them, just because I want to see the whole picture. They're so similar. It's bizarre. They have different rituals and ceremonies, but the fundamentals, everybody has that.
Right.
Muslim,
Right.
Japanese, you know, Buddhist, it's Jewish. It's all there.
Right. So I had somebody tell me one time, you know what the difference is between human beings and animals?
What?
Humans have sentiment. They have feelings. That's what I was told. I don't know if I believe it, but the point is that humans do have feelings. And humans, I believe the difference is that we know how to communicate our feelings. It's not just that we have the feelings, but we know how to communicate them.
Bill, I think I got something better. Because we've all seen videos of the monkeys hugging the handler and a dog snuggling up. So, yeah, you're right. Don't buy that one. Somebody told me this recently. It might have been you, I can't remember. But somebody says they found the first mark of civilization when somebody fixed another person's broken bone. Because animals can't, they won't, they just leave them to die. But we do whatever we can. If we see our brethren hurt, we'll do something. So that's beyond feelings. It's like real empathy and survival. So I that's my 2 cents.
That's cool. All right, so we're moving on to H. As we spoke in podcast number 231, right? Extraordinary seller customer service is how to keep the seller's undivided attention when they are making decisions, which is all the stuff we've just been talking about. We don't even have to elaborate on it. It's just caring for them, helping them. I got to tell you, I was thinking this morning, I mean, like seriously, like it was several minutes of a thought. So my wife and I agreed to it, but my wife bought some, I want to say fairly expensive couches.
Yep.
Okay. So there's 2 of them. And they told us we bought them from Jordan's Furniture. Now, I kid you not, Peter, we must have went to 10 or 12 furniture stores, some of them multiple times.
Yep.
I
I remember there's a lot of lunches involved in that.
It took a lot of work for her to figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay? So we bought the furniture, you know, back a few months ago, and they told us that they would come because of the pandemic and the shortage of labor, that it would take, we wouldn't get them until like December, probably January. Okay? So we bought them back in like in October or something like that, right?
Yeah, I remember,
So anyways, long story short, the couch, so then they send me a message saying that, oh, we're sorry, but we don't think you're going to get them in January. It's probably going to be February.
Ooh.
So I'm like, okay, she really wants these couches. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So long story short, the couches came in. And she wanted them for Christmas. So she got her way, right?
Oh, she's strong with the thoughts, Bill.
So here's what happens. So they tell me, so I call up and I pay for them and I make my arrangements because now they're in, they want their money, right? Because I had given them a deposit before and now they want all their money. So I pay them and I take care of all the money and I do what I got to do, right? And they say, okay, the soonest we can deliver them is on Thursday, today.
Oh.
Well, there's like a big nor'eastern snowstorm.
Yes,
so
right.
they call me 2 days ago and they tell me that we're not coming because of the snow.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, the customer service with these guys blew me away. Now, the one thing that I'm not pleased with, but I can't complain about is they're not giving me proper predict.
Mm-hmm.
Because I talked to one person, they can't tell me what the next person's going to say. But they called me yesterday and they said the soonest they can get me in was Tuesday. I'm like, we're having a party Saturday night. Like, the girl puts me on hold and comes back and said, guess what? You're having a party with the couches.
Nice. See, right there. That's your point.
Yeah.
That's your point.
Yeah.
Make it happen, damn it.
And so she said, but I don't know what's going to happen because Thursday it's going to snow and we're supposed to call you 2 days before to let you know when it's going to come. So probably call you Wednesday night. I was laying in bed this morning thinking, well, Jordan's Furniture didn't call last night. Thank God, because I was on the meetup and I wouldn't answer the phone anyways, but they didn't leave a message, right? Mm-hmm. I wake up this morning, I go in the shower, I get showered, I come back out and I get dressed and I hear my phone go, ding. So I check it when I pick it up. There's Jordan Furniture. Oh, we're coming on Saturday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Wow.
I mean, the customer service.
Just in the nick of time.
The dude that's on TV, what is his name? The guy with the Boston accent? It's the company. He doesn't even own the company. He used to own it. He sold it, but he's the rep. They have good customer service. I'm thinking, oh my God, when I want to buy furniture again, I don't care what, I'm going back there. These guys really took care of me.
Yep.
And it's that same way when you're doing it with your seller.
You know what happened to me Tuesday?
What?
My mother's washing machine is not working well. I have the guy show up. I call up. He goes, "Oh, I'm in your town. I'll be there in a half an hour." It was an hour, but he shows up. It's $90 just for the visit. Okay, fine, whatever. It's $300 for the clutch. Oh God, I could buy a new one for $6. Okay, do it. He looks inside. He flips it over. Buddy, it's $1,000. Don't do it. He says, okay, never mind. I'll just go buy one. Thank you very much. He starts talking to my mom about Italian food and all the blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, Mom, leave the guy alone. Tell him your whole life story. You don't even know his name, you know? When he's done, he's packing up, and I hide the checkbook because he's not asking me. I kind of slip it away. And he goes, by the way, I'm not charging you. I can't do that to your mother. Here's my card. Call me. He says, oh, you're at the top of my list, buddy.
Nice.
$90. He said, nah, never mind. He's there half an hour. Just the heck with it. But wasn't that worth him to do that, to be right to me? And I wasn't trusting because he shows me the book. See, it says $300. I hate those books. Just do it by the hour. How much is the part? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know what the part? That whole thing. I wasn't trusting him. I wasn't sure if he was, jiving me here. But he didn't charge, and he left me the card. And I still don't know his name. It's this big freaking card with a million numbers. But I'm calling him next time.
So here's my punchline with customer service. Just what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You're calling him next time.
Yep.
You're telling me on a podcast with God knows how many people that will listen to this about this guy.
Yep.
Because you had good customer service, not only are you happy, but you're going to tell your friends, your relatives, your family. You're going to tell everybody.
ABC.
Do you think that you're not going to get a deal from that?
Mm-hmm.
So don't be short-minded thinking that this person that you're giving customer service is the only person you're going to do business with. No, they got a mouth, and they're going to brag if you take good care of them.
I've seen you tell people, look, I don't think I can buy your house. And you're actually serious, and you didn't. Said, but look, if you need anything, if you have a question, I'll help you. Just call me. I don't mind. Yep. Just call me with a question, and I'll help you. I don't care if I buy the house or not. Please call me. Let me know. If I know how to answer you, I will. And you mean it, and you do it. You've done it for me years ago. I see you do it. It's just a damn right attitude to have toward people.
Okay, good. So we're moving on to I. Research has shown that successful people tend to know other successful people and spend a significant amount of time with them. So research has shown that successful people tend to know other successful people and spend a significant amount of time with them.
Yeah.
Which is why I started a group called Let's Talk Real Estate on WhatsApp Messenger. So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/group chat, group chat. You can get into that group for nothing. Right? So research has shown that successful people tend to know other successful people and spend a significant amount of time with them. So I set it up so we had this group so we can spend time with one another. I don't go in, I go in there and post that the meetup is going to happen, but I'm not in there trying to sell anybody. It's mostly them talking to one another, passing leads and doing stuff and, helping one another in the Let's Talk Real Estate chat. So if it's not me, go find another group. I don't care, but get those type of people around you. Not the type of people that don't believe that real estate works. Stop fighting the wave. Mm-hmm. Get a surfboard and ride it. Okay?
Good one, Bill.
Jay, the most important skill and one you should not delegate until you have so many leads and deals is the closing call. Mm. It is vastly vital for a couple reasons. One, it is the most vital part of your income, making offers. If you want to push the gas pedal or hit the brake on making money, it's done with the offers.
Yep.
Nothing else in your business can do it better than that. It can't do it at all. You have to make offers. You can't get married unless you give a proposal. Mm-hmm. You can't get married unless you receive a proposal. Mm-hmm. You have to get the proposal, and that's an offer. Number two, the only way you can keep your thumb on the pulse of your market is to talk to these pre-screened sellers. Right? So limiting or outsourcing this part is a key point or decision to make. Right? We have a coach that we're following right now that I kind of hoodwinked you into doing, right? Joe Crump, right? Yeah. And he's a super nice guy. But one of the things I said to you on the coaching calls not too long ago is he doesn't have his finger on the pulse. He doesn't talk to sellers anymore.
No,
he's got a staff that does.
But he says to do it, right?
Yeah.
But he's one that says even to you.
Right.
To keep talking to people. Don't get so automated that you lose track of it or lose touch with your own people.
Right. You don't have your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
Right. So even I struggle with that because I have VAs and stuff like that, and I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I've been on the phone with sellers, and I think what makes me different than most people that teach this, and I could be wrong because I'm not out there buying shit like these guys are. But what makes me different is I still do it. I do it every single day. I'll be on the phones this afternoon for 2 hours.
Yep.
And in my coaching group, they know this because two things happen with my coaching group that no other coaching group ever does. And I don't usually talk about this because I don't know. I just don't talk about it. Number one, my coaching guys on Monday night on a group call, we got 12, 15 guys on the call and girls. Somebody will give me the name of a lead, and while on the coaching call, because it's a conference call, I make everybody mute their phone, and I actually will call a seller for one of my coaching guys and actually have a conversation with the seller on the coaching call and try to make the deal. How many coaches do that? Even better, and I'm not trying to brag here. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here.
No, you're saying how important it is. You're saying how important this is.
I practice what I preach. Or what I do in my coaching group is I'll do a call, and once a week or sometimes twice a week, I record all my calls. I'll upload the recording so my coaching guys can listen to me talking to people and learn from it.
Yeah.
In my coaching portal. Right?
Yep.
Desiree says, my friends don't understand. I tell them about this and they still want to retire at 50 and put 20% for their house. Desiree. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is the only way you can keep your thumb on the pulse of the market is to constantly talk on these closing calls. Now, I don't just talk to anybody. I don't do the opening calls. I make sure that they're pre-screened. So I have my VAs and my managers or whoever, whoever's handling things, my admin VA and my call-in VA, the people go through some hoops before they get to me. Now that's okay, because then I'm just talking to the most likely people that are willing to do what? Take payments until we can pay them off, or take a deep discount.
Yep.
Right? Moving on to K. The ultimate test of a creative real estate investor is the day when you can realize objections or obstacles are really the part of the presentation you missed and the seller didn't understand, which means when you know how and can easily remove those complications, your seller will be glad to sell their house to you. Often, I will bring up common objections or concerns before the seller does. This is true confidence. So I get a lot of questions on how do you build confidence? How do you get confidence, Bill? Okay, so what I'm saying here is that the ultimate test in real estate, the ultimate test of a creative real estate investor is the day when you realize objections and stalls are not a problem. You want them. You're looking for them. They're your roadmap. They tell you what you've missed with the customer. They're telling you where their concerns are. It's like they're allowing you to read their mind. So basically when they bring up an objection like something like, well, I want to get all my money right now. Okay? What they're doing is they're telling you, I want to do a deal with you. Can you figure out how to give me all the money right now?
Yeah.
They're a prospect. They're real. The question is, are you willing to do what they're asking?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really have suspects because everybody wants to sell their house. What makes them a suspect is our program. Are they willing to take monthly payments until we pay them off or take a deep discount? That's what makes them prospects, right? So when you're talking to somebody, okay, you need to make sure that you understand that the obstacles and the objections, which so many try to avoid and run away from, are not a bad thing. They're a good thing. You should invite them and figure out how to handle them or figure out how to help the person with those things. Because they're pretty much saying to you, as I'm repeating myself, is I want to do this deal. Just help me handle this one or two things and
Sure.
we'll do a deal.
Sure.
Now, after a while, when you start doing a lot of presentations, you're going to recognize that there's common objections and obstacles and problems that people think are in the deal. So when you get really good, which is not far down the road, you can start bringing those objections or those obstacles up before the customer even talks about them. Okay? So being able to answer these questions, naturally, and you don't even have to have the right answer because like you so much bring up, you could say to somebody, I don't have the answer for that. Let me go figure that out and I'll get back to you. That's an answer.
Okay. Yeah. They'll believe you more if you do that than just making some crap up,
Right? So knowing how to do that and when to do that and being sincere and being able to bring up the obstacles before the customer brings them up, that's confidence. That's how you build confidence, is you do those things. So it's not the deal structuring like everybody thinks. It's not the math. It's not any of that. It's knowing how to talk to someone for real. Like talk to somebody without having the sales pitch. Just being a real person and wanting to help.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Let's move on to L. You good with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. L. The most important time spent in your business is speaking to sellers on a closing call, making offers. All while answering seller questions and honing in these skills that we were just talking about. So how do you get confidence? How do you get these skills? Just get on the phone and just talk to people. Go on houses, just talk to people. A few weeks ago, I was talking about just practicing, right? In fact, I have a name for it that I came up with the other day, and I'm going to start calling it. Let me get it on my notes here. It's called pressure swap technique. Pressure swap technique.
Okay.
Or I'm going to call it anti-pressure crackdown. Okay? And what that means is that stop trying to put pressure on yourself, which I'm going to cover in a couple minutes. Actually, I'm going to wait and cover it in a couple minutes. Stop putting pressure on yourself trying to buy the house. Go in and observe your seller first. Learn the seller first. And all these things we're talking about, you don't need to have magical words or anything like that. There we go. John West, I'm going to put this one up, says that empathy gives more confidence and deals empathy gives more confidence and deals more than price.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's move on because we're kind of running out of time here. So M. All right, so that was L. So M, if sellers backpedal or don't take your offer, ask them why. This one shocking point has brought deals back from the dead for me.
That's funny. Something's happening. You don't know what to do. Well, ask them why.
Yeah.
Ask them. What do I do now? Ask them.
Right. So the way I do that in my own language is, which part of the deal didn't you like?
No, that's good, though, because you get very specific that way. What part of the deal? Because I don't like the deal. Well, what's wrong with it? What part? That'll be very more specific, and you'll get a better answer. The truth, not some generality.
John says, why is a great question. So true.
Yeah.
So true. Okay? So just ask them why. And and I'll spend 2 hours with someone before I ask this question sometimes. By mistake, I shouldn't be doing that.
Oh.
Right? This is how I learned this, because it's like all of a sudden they start telling me why they don't want to do the deal, and they were polite and listened to me for two hours. If I had asked that question, and then I'm kind of out of time, they're bored or they got to go or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm out of time and I can't penetrate. Where if I ask that question a lot sooner in the presentation or when I'm talking to them, it's amazing. And until you close every single seller you talk to, you will need to constantly improve. Hone in on scripts, practice, look for better ways to explain things to your seller so they understand. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Keep it simple. You're not supposed to say stupid, but I do. Right? Keep it simple, stupid. Right? In other words, keep it easy.
Yep.
Don't use the words you hear us talk about, or you don't. In other words, when my coaching clients, we call this, don't give a seminar. Don't go in a seminar, get all these fancy big words, all that kind of stuff, right? And then go give it to your seller. They don't want to hear that. You need to kind of dumb it down, make it easy, and make it palatable. You know, what acceptance level are they willing to take, right? Talking about a subject to deal with them is not going to mean anything to them. It's going to leave you open to a 20-minute explanation and a whole bunch of variables that you may not have needed to handle until you brought up the word subject to. Yeah? Okay. So with that said, I would like to give you a few staples that work anywhere in a conversation with a seller.
Oh, good.
Okay? So one, the most powerful and unsexiest tool you can develop is sincerely caring about the seller.
Bill, that's just terrible. Being sincere and caring, that's terrible.
The most powerful and unsexiest tool you can deliver is. And by the way, thank you, Ben, for that language, because I got that from him. Okay, so Mr. Settle, you're an amazing writer.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a bromance either. He just taught me a lot. Right? The most powerful and unsexiest tool you can deliver is sincerely caring about the seller. This means you do things for the right reason and ensure you are in the seller's shoes with him or her and and really just walking alongside of them for a while, right? While he is experiencing and going through the emotions and feelings of the transaction. This means you do things for the right reason and ensure you are in the seller's shoes with him and walking alongside of him while he is experiencing or she is experiencing going through the emotions and feelings of the transaction. That's that bridge I was talking about, right?
Yep.
As I call it on my private coaching group, the human side of the deal. Sellers always do business with whom they trust and feel good about. Too many just talk numbers and don't do this. They think that all the seller wants to hear is the numbers. And though some sellers are like that, which are usually AKA suspects, you got to have the human side of it. And if you don't do that, you'll do less deals. This I promise. So, sincerely caring about the seller is a great virtue. Make sense?
Well, that's what I would want if somebody was working with me.
Right. Just like the girl at Jordan Furniture that put me on hold for 3 or 4 minutes and came back and said, "Guess what?
Yeah.
You're having a party with the couches." I felt she sincerely cared about me. She's like, "Oh, we got to do something about that." I'm like, "My wife would love you for that." Oh my goodness, she wants to show off them couches.
You know, we don't find that enough in places. I've been trying to get help from my mom because she's real old. I've talked to her doctor, lawyers, you name it. And the other day, I just sat and made a few phone calls and found somebody to tell me exactly what to do. It was 6 stars. It was 10 stars. It was unbelievable. And they couldn't even do their own business couldn't help. They had to refer me to somebody else, but they did it anyways. And that's just amazing. And I said, "Gee, it's like you actually even cared." He goes, "I do." I know, I'm kidding. But you can feel it a mile away. Like,
Right.
you don't expect it sometimes. "Sorry, we can't help with that. We don't do that here." Click. That's not what you want to hear. Why don't you call this person, tell them I sent you, ask for this person, say this, and then she'll help you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Exactly. So if you can be that person, it's got to help.
Right. And you don't need real estate training to teach you that. Just be a person.
Yeah, this is something your mom teaches you, your dad teaches you, your minister teaches you. Exactly. You know, you're a real guru.
So the second thing, which we already talked about, is the dog treat. So Doug Diana, whom Ben Settle says is the world-class copywriter, he says, "Does your dog come for you when you call?" Answer, sometimes. Doug, I bet I can get her to come flying over to me even though she doesn't even know me. Answer, how? With total certainty. How? Doug, all I have to do is hold up her favorite cookie. She'll come flying over to me. Am I right? The lesson here, which we already talked about, is find out what sellers want, then show them how to get it. Bottom line, the better you get at this, one skill, the more deals you do. So are you, sometimes I can't buy the house, they just want all their cash. I'll just give it to a realtor and let them go make their commission, right? But what happens when I want comps or I want a favor later on? What's going to happen, right? Or when I want to sell my house and I need some help and they're going to help me, right? It's karma, man.
Yeah.
It's karma. Whatever you put out in this world is what you get back.
Yep.
So why not be nice? Right?
My city has signs that somebody's been putting up, and it says, "Be kind." Doesn't say anything else. I don't even know who's doing it, but you drive around and you go, another blue sign, "Be kind."
Nice.
They're all over my town.
Desiree says, find out which cookie deal their drool over.
That's right. Well, for my karma, it's bacon-wrapped sweet potato.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, moving on after that little comment.
Yeah.
Which brings me to number 3. The best debates in the highest courts always, all of them, always are solved with questions. The best debates in the world are resolved or handled with questions, or are won. That's better what I should say. They are won with questions. He who asks the right questions gets the correct answer, and they win. And like I said earlier, it's not the questions that measure your real estate investor IQ. It's not the questions that gives you a high IQ, but instead the answers you get. Questions like, and you know these, Peter, and these are staples. These are staples in your career. Questions like, what would have to happen for me to buy or rent your house today? Any point of the conversation you could ask that. If you feel lost, just ask that question. And you would think that we're giving this away, Peter. You think we're giving the store away by doing this part of the deal. But here's the thing.
No.
I can tell you, because I record every single call, and I can go back and do research, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to waste my time. But I could tell you how many times, a vast majority on my private coaching calls that are recorded, I can go back and I could clip out recordings, part of that recording, where my private coaching client will tell me, I forgot to ask that question. Yeah. It's probably 80 or 90% of the time. It's like, oh, I got to ask that question. I didn't think of it. I forgot.
Yeah. It should be obvious, but the obvious really can be too obvious, and it goes eluded.
Which is why we're doing this podcast, because what are you thinking about when you're doing the deal? You're thinking about asking your next question, and you're not paying attention. You're skimming over the top of the deal and not even recognizing that it's there. This is kind of like being on a boat and going 40 miles an hour and saying there's no fish in this water. You're skimming right over the top of them and don't even know it. The fish are under there. You just don't know how to find them.
Yeah, but right? I think we have a problem. Let's do a car analogy, because you're a car guy. I'm not a car guy. You don't mind finding out what's wrong in an engine to fix it. I don't want to find something wrong because I don't know how to fix it. I don't want to see it. But if you don't see it, nobody can fix it, and it's not gonna go. The engine's not gonna run. So
you're not gonna make deals.
I've learned that from my business friends. When you find a problem, it's good because you got something to do, something to solve, something to sell, something to make money, something to help somebody with.
Like I said, the obstacles and the objections are your roadmap on how you're going to do this deal, because that's what the seller, they like everything else. They just have attention on this one thing or two things. And if you can find solutions for those one or two things, you can make a deal. And you know what? I can honestly tell you from vast experience, those one or two things get missed and too many deals. And those one or two things are why our rookies are not making more deals, because they don't even know that there's only one or two things more to do. They've done all the right things. They just don't know they got to go 2 more laps in this 500-mile race and they could win. Yeah. They just don't know that. They don't know. They don't recognize these obstacles as obstacles that can help them. Instead, they're too busy trying to come up with the magic one-liners or the special words that will flip the customer over and say, "I'll do it." They'll roll over and play dead and say, "Okay, I'll do it."
Yeah. When
really what the customer is saying when they're coming up with these obstacles and these questions are, "I'll do it if you solve these problems, and here are my 2 problems, or here are my 3 problems, or here's how I feel, or here's what I'm worried about." Right? Let me give you an example. Seller says, how do I know that that the renter is not going to damage my property? How do you handle that? Well, actually, we take a substantial amount of down payment money. We don't just let them go in there for 1 month. We do background checks. We make sure that there's not criminals in there. We make sure that there's not people that are angry and put holes in the walls. And we do background checks. Once we do that, we put them in the house, and we take a substantial amount of that deposit money and put it in a reserve account. So if they do damage it, we have money to fix it. So God forbid you ever get this house back, it's in better shape usually than when you gave it to us. And that handles them.
Sure.
Worst case scenario, if it doesn't handle them, what you tell them is how about if I give you that money? So now instead of taking a $10,000 deposit, you give them $5,000 to protect them, and you take $5,000. So you give it to them as a deposit, as security. Right? So you think to yourself, why would you give up $5,000? Because if you don't have a deal anyway. So it's better to get $5,000 than to get nothing.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and we're talking, these are short activities. These aren't like a 4-month renovation. This is a short few hours here and there. So $5,000 is still a great reward.
Yep.
Better than zero.
So I want to go back to the questions. What would have to happen for me to buy or rent your house today? Which I've talked about that question for years. Here's another one that I don't talk about enough, and I'm trying to talk about it more. You ready?
Yeah.
This question is unbelievable. It's better than the question I just talked about. What do you want me to do?
It's so short. What do you want me to do?
And they tell you exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to pay cash for my house. I can't do that. Now what do you want me to do? Especially if you're new. This will give you a laser beam right to the seller's exact wishes. No different than a sniper with a laser on his gun just before he makes a shot. He knows where that bullet's going. When you pull the trigger on this, and it's a bad analogy because guns are not a popular thing anymore, but it's a bad analogy. But when you pull that trigger and say, what do you want me to do? What are they going to tell you? Exactly the raw thing that they want you to do. Well, I want you to leave because I'm just going to call a realtor. Then you know. I mean, nobody's ever told me that, but just ask, what do you want me to do?
That's a
Amazing.
good one, Bill.
Yeah. 4, I talk about offer goggles in my emails. If you read my emails, you see me every once in a while talk about offer goggles, right? From time to time. Here's a way to understand this. Create a vision, which we were talking about before. Create a vision for the seller based on their answers to the questions we spoke of, even if you don't know how to do it yet. So you're setting expectations, putting goggles on your seller, and giving them a visual image of how it could be when they do business with you. You don't have to clean the house out. Just take what you want and I'll do the rest. That's a visual picture. We can close in a week if you want to. Those are all visual pictures. You're setting an expectation for them that is visually clear. So you're putting offer goggles on your seller so they can clearly see how it's going to end up.
Bill, I think you're doing virtual reality. With the headsets, you know?
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Which, by the way, I have this crazy idea, which I don't have time to talk about, but I actually have this crazy idea that I could invent a game from one of those virtual things, you know, you put the goggles on. where you actually go in a house and talk to a seller.
Well, yeah, I bet you could.
In one of those virtual things. So it's like you're walking around the house, looking at the house, and you're talking to the seller for real. But it would be a virtual game. I would love to figure out somebody that could help me develop that. Probably be expensive as shit, but it would be pretty popular.
It'd be
right?
crazy, man.
Number 5, which drops at the front door of most rookies out there. Stop trying to get tons of training so you can close sellers in one phone call or one visit. So here's what happens, and this is new because it took me a while to observe this because it's so obvious I couldn't see it. Our rookies that are listening, or our rookies that follow my stuff, are trying to train themselves up so they can do everything on the first visit. They want to have all the answers for all the questions, for all the things that could happen on the visit. Little do they know, every visit has different personalities and different questions, and you never stop learning. I remember when I first went into business, one of my partners really straightened me out, and it was a big help because I used to think, I got to solve all these problems, and someday it's going to run and I'm going to have no problems, and it's just going to be automated, and it's just going to spit me out checks, and I'm going to be happy without any problems. And he's like, no, your job as an owner is to find out what the problems are every week and solve those problems. That's your job as an owner, is to figure out those problems. And if that's all you're doing is just handling those problems, you got a nice, easy job because you can get your staff to do everything. Right? So find out what the problems are and solve those. And that's the same thing we're talking about here, is why are you trying to figure out how to do everything in one visit? When you get that relief in your mind that I don't need to know everything and try to do this in one visit, and you do this instead, here's what you do. You do a discovery phone call that leads to a discovery visit. Call that, or in other words, call that or bring it together, all that information that will get the seller to pull the trigger. So this is like being a high-powered attorney in a litigation and not having a private investigator out there trying to figure out how to handle this case. You need to be a private eye. You need to go in and do your discovery stage. You need to figure out what to do, right? So now you're in the house, you went on the phone with them, maybe the opening call, maybe not, maybe a VA did that, but you were definitely on the closing call, and you're going to go visit the person in the house or do a virtual visit, right? And here you're going to do a discovery stage, and you're going to get all the answers. You're going to go get all the questions. Now, you say to the seller, and we talked about this in episode 231, you write a list of all the seller's concerns, what they want. And then you read it back to them and say, if I go handle some of these, or if I go handle these, or if I find solutions for these, can we do business? And they'll be like, yes or no. Now you go off and you find solutions for that. Send me a support ticket, ask me questions, or go watch a video, or go on YouTube, or however you get your information. Go find specific answers for those concerns. Now you go back to the seller and you hypnotize the jury with superior presentations. Stop trying to do it on the fly. Stop trying to have all the answers. The way out is the way through, Peter. The way out is the way through. And what that means is that you're asking to know everything that I know, but the way I learned it all was by doing enough visits and fumbling my way through and talking to enough people is how I learned it. So why do you think you're different? Why do you think you could take the little program chip out of the back of my neck and stick it in your ear and think you know everything that I do? Stop trying to do that. The way out is the way through. The way you need to do that is to actually go do visits and do these things, do a discovery stage, and what you'll start to realize after a while is the more discovery you do and the more handlings you do, the more presentations you do with the correct answers, the more you'll remember them and the more you'll be able to do those in the presentation as you go forward. That's the way through. Is do these presentations, consider them a discovery stage, an investigation stage, and then go find out what to do, much like an attorney in a courtroom, and then go back into the courtroom when the jury's watching and listening and give the presentation that is superior. It's everything the customer wants to hear. It's the treat for the dog. Right?
Yep.
In other words, don't shoot from the hip, or worse, don't shoot from the lip and lose deals before you even get started. Last one for today, be a reluctant buyer. Let sellers say no. Don't try to wrestle them to the ground. Believe me, this is what all the other real estate investors do. They wrestle them to the ground, usually with numbers. I'll give you 58,000. No, I'll give you 32,000. And they're wrestling to the ground. Be opposite of them. Be different than the herd. Ask questions. Get your roadmap. Do your discoveries. Let the no's and the objections and the obstacles be your road signs, so when you get to the corner and you don't know which way to turn, let the questions and the obstacles guide you so you know which way to turn and get to your destination quicker with less distractions. Who do you think the seller will want to deal with? A pushy investor or someone who cares and asks what's needed and wanted and then presents it? The end.
Right. That's right.
The end. These guys crack me up. John says, I've been practicing on my dogs and anyone who comes near me. All right, Peter, we're going to get out of here because we're 6 minutes longer than I want to be. Don't forget to go into the description of wherever you are listening to me or us, either on YouTube, Facebook, or even in the description of where you found this podcast. There's a link there that has 25 plus free scripts, checklists, videos, explanations, all kinds of stuff. There's lots of good stuff there that we've been giving away, and I get a lot of feedback from that. If you have any questions, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, top right-hand side corner, hit support. I will answer your questions. Especially let me know if you've done a deal or you think you're going to deal. Please give us, like us, or subscribe to our channel so that you can know what we're doing when we're doing it. That gives us lots of support, and I love the support. And I truly do want to help people make deals. I know how to make my own deals. I've got a pretty satisfying life, Peter. You know that. I pretty much name my own time and my own ticket. Although I work a lot, I don't have to. For example, one of the guys from my 6th degree marketing group was asking me where I've been, and I'm like, I pretty much took the month of December off. I mean, I'm still working, I'm still doing things, but I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not doing what other people tell me I have to do, right? So make it so that you could do that as well, because real estate could deliver that. And the things that we talk about may seem difficult, but honestly, it's not as hard as everybody makes it sound. Just go out there and just start to talk to people, okay? So there you go. I'm not sure that we're going to do a podcast next week because it's Christmas Eve morning, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to talk to you about that as soon as we get done here. So
Yep.
If we don't do the podcast, everybody have a very Merry Christmas, and that's all I can say. Happy New Year, all that good stuff, okay? Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you're going through. Just go have fun with your family and be around people and just enjoy your life, okay?
Yep.
Over and out. Thank you for being here, and thanks for the support.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.